Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima here on Fishbowl Radio in the Green Stream and showing simultaneously on Facebook Live on our page Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima is all about natural parenting, natural living, and a whole lot extra.
Whole lot.
And of course, we are your hosts, Lauren and Kima. Today's subject is all about homeschooling, birth education, essential oils, and natural living in general. Our special guests today are Gail Wooster and Tristan Martinez,
Yay!
another mother daughter team of All in the Nest Doulas. As always, before we dive into today's topic, we want to spend some time on our weekly segment, What's Happening? If you have an opinion about the topic, feel free to call in at 214-431-5032 or add your thoughts in the comments on Facebook Live. Before we get into the main topic, we did want to give a shout out to Idaho and Utah for finally jumping on board with legalizing breastfeeding in public.
Woo!
Yes, about time.
Way
But,
overdue.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think that in 2018, it's finally legal in all 50 states for moms to feed their children in public. It's just so crazy how long it's taken. And just imagining, I mean, you're out somewhere, you got to feed your child in Idaho or Utah, and you're, afraid of being arrested or harassed or what have you. So definitely happy that that's definitely been passed.
And
so.
it's so funny because I say this so many times that we were in both states around this time this time last year, and didn't realize that it wasn't legal to publicly breastfeed in Idaho, especially and she's just whipping her boob out everywhere.
Yeah.
Just feeding August.
You could have been arrested.
Yeah.
Good for you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So luckily, nothing happened to me, but just the thought of,
having to worry about it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But we also want to talk about the Big Latch On, which is coming this weekend.
Yes.
This
Saturday.
weekend on August 4th. And there's several Latch On locations if you're anywhere in the DFW area or around the nation, because it is a global event. You can go on the Big Latch On's website to find a host location near you.
And know that if you're wanting to participate in a Big Latch On someplace else, that it's actually Friday and or Saturday. So we just chose to have ours on Saturday. So you need to check your location and find out what day it is.
Yes. But Crunchy Boutique, we are one of the host locations. So we will have
For the second time.
For the second time. Last year we just had such a great response, just a great time. Being with all the breastfeeding mamas, and we had lots of giveaways and things like that. It was just a really great time. So we're doing it again this year, this Saturday. The actual latch will take place at 10:30 a.m., but we're asking that you arrive at 9 a.m. to check in, go ahead and get a spot, because if it's anything like last year, it's going to be standing room only. So you want to make sure you get here early. And you will also receive a boob bag for the first 25 moms that come in.
I love that.
Yeah, which is our version of the swag bag. So it'll be lots of goodies in there and things like that. And, we always come with the giveaways. So we will
Absolutely.
have lots and lots of giveaways, and it will be a great time. There is another Big Latch On location in DFW hosted by Tarrant County Breastfeeding Coalition.
Who is one of our sponsors.
Yeah, who is one of our sponsors, and we definitely appreciate them for that. So if you're not near Arlington, Fort Worth is also another great option for you as well. And the one in Fort Worth will actually be at the Botanic Garden, and they're actually having a family expo after. So you could potentially go to both. You can come see us and then go to the expo.
Because
and just
their event doesn't end until 1.
Yeah.
So you could really do both. It sounds like theirs is going to be really big and fun. So we encourage people to go to both.
Yeah. Just latch on your babies.
Latch.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna take a break now, and we will be back to discuss I gotta start over. We will be back to begin our discussion regarding homeschooling, birth education, essential oils, and natural living in general right after this break. As a reminder, due to copyright issues with Facebook Live, we will no longer be allowed to play music during the breaks. So during the break, you should hear silence, but we'll be back in a few
And
minutes.
if you don't hear silence, give us a shout out.
Yes.
Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Gail Wooster and Tristan Martinez of All in the Nest Doulas. Because they are a mother-daughter team, their partnership began quite a long time ago. Since 2015, their desire to serve women and families during birth and postpartum has evolved into a birth doula service. The Lord gave them a love for families that drives them to help families have the best possible birth experience. In 2017, All in the Nest Doulas launched in the DFW area. Again, welcome Gail and Tristan, and I want to add that they're also our friends. We love them.
Yes.
So we're just so happy to have you guys with us. So let's just start with how you decided to start this business. Let's give us some background on that.
Go ahead.
Well, Tristan had a baby in 2015, and I was able to be a part of that, not as her doula, but as a part of her birth team. And it was such an incredible experience, even though it was hard. It was hard physically for her. It was hard emotionally for me to watch that and to be a part of it. It was a very long labor. But she had a doula, and we really watched what she was doing. We experienced it. We were working with the doula, and it just made everything so different. It was such a good experience. And afterwards, one day, Tristan and I were talking, and she looked at me and she said, I want to be a doula, and I want you to do it with me.
Oh, wow.
Let's have a business together. And it took me about 8 seconds to say, yes, that's exactly what I want to.
How cool is that? Yeah. That's the nice thing about a mother-daughter team, because Lauren and I are like that too. You're in sync most of the time, so it doesn't require a lot of convincing, a lot of conversation. You trust each other enough to just say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. And I had been with some other women in births before, but not like this, not a natural birth like this. That was so incredible. Now, we support other than just natural births,
of course.
But that was such an amazing experience for us.
For me, it started more in pregnancy, actually. I was doing a lot of research and taking a birth class, and I was like, so many people don't know this. Why do they not know this? I want them to know that there are options. And so I became passionate about educating and empowering parents to make those decisions. And so after the birth, it was really tough. And there were several points where without that education and support and the doula's presence and my birth team, it could have gone very differently. And so I want everybody to have that positive feeling and pride in their birth. So, yeah, it was confirmed, and I started asking people, like, do you think I can do this? And when everybody said, you would be perfect, it's just that confirmation of a calling. So.
And now you've been in business an entire year. So just roughly, how many births have you participated in a year? I know it's kind of slow when you first start usually, but.
Yeah. So I've had 7, and you've had how many now?
6.
Oh, okay, so that's quite a few.
You have 2 more coming, so.
Yeah, a couple more coming soon. So, yeah.
That keeps you busy.
It has been busy, and then we added in childbirth education classes recently. I have gone through certification for that, and so that also is making us busy right now. But it's so amazing. We love it. It's just really a neat thing for us to do.
And I've been on maternity leave, so that's where I've been staying busy lately.
Yeah, and what's interesting, though, is that it sounds like you were already on a very natural path before you decided to start your doula business, because obviously we've talked a lot and know a lot about your background. Fascinating stuff, for us being in the natural parenting community as well. So I wanted to talk some about homeschooling before we even talk about that, what was the first thing that was kind of crunchy-ish? Again, I'll direct this to you, Gail, because obviously you opened the door and started down that path. And was homeschooling the first thing?
Probably the first thing crunchy. I probably didn't know much about crunchiness before that. That was kind of out of my comfort zone for a while. Tristan's made me much more crunchy. But I guess the fact that we homeschooled, and it was early on in the homeschooling era, so I had to learn a lot and do a lot of things, and it was against the norm at that point.
What made you want to homeschool? And you homeschooled 4 children, right?
4, yeah. Okay. Tristan was my first, so I homeschooled. Last year was my last year to homeschool.
Oh, wow.
And I homeschooled for 25 years. I think that's right. So, yeah, starting her young, I think I had met a couple of families that homeschooled their kids, and those kids were so impressive. And I kept thinking, I want my kids to be like that. And they were older, and they were just so sweet and kind and smart and attentive. And I just wanted that.
Right.
And when I would start talking to their parents, they said, well, you know, we spend a lot of time doing things and being outside of a classroom. We just do a lot of natural things, normal things that everybody would do. We just do a lot of hands-on things. So that made us decide to go ahead and let's try that. And it was a hard decision at first. My husband and I really kind of wondered, is this what we were supposed to do? Because I would pass the sign that said kindergarten roundup on the schools. And I'd be like, oh, I loved kindergarten when I was a kid, and I remember it, and it was so much fun. But I just felt like that was not what we were supposed to do. That was not what our family was supposed to do. And I have never for a second regretted it. Now, there's days where I thought, what have I done? I think I'm done with this. To be honest, it was hard, especially having 4 when I would have 2 school-age kids and a toddler and an infant. It was hard, but
I bet.
We made it work.
So were you part of an organization? Was there an organized homeschooling association or something that you were part of?
I was always a part of an association because I needed that encouragement from other moms. So when I started, we didn't have computers and cell phones and everything. I just had to seek out the like-minded people. And so we had monthly meetings, and we gathered and we did field trips together and things like that. I needed that. I had friends that didn't, but I needed that. Then when they got older, we became part of a group that did field trips together, and we did classes together. So it just kind of changed from there, from small classes, just families meeting together and one of us parents teaching. And then later on, when they were high school age, some of those classes I needed help with. So I found other moms that could teach those things, and I taught things that I taught. So I taught science for years to other homeschooled kids because that was my thing, whereas I could not teach English at all. So I had to find somebody to teach English to my high school kids so that they could,
So it was
well
like a homeschooling support group.
Yes, exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and now they're everywhere. There's huge homeschooling groups that have very formal classes that you sign up for and just pay another teacher to teach, and it's still homeschooling.
Right,
So.
right. Now, Tristan, what do you have to say about being her student?
Being the first.
What was it like? Yeah, the first.
I am really proud of the education that I got at home. I had so many more opportunities than a lot of my friends did. My siblings and I are so close, and I really think a lot of that had to do with we were forced to be close.
Right.
We were in
You
a
were
tiny
classmates.
home, and we were classmates. But it's so worth it to me now, although there were days that were horrible, and I was a moody teenager who did not want her mom to teach her anything. And so for a season, at 8th grade is when I started going to some classes out of the home. I went to a private school, and I was the only one that ended up doing that just because my personality was different than my siblings. But for me, I had that balance of both. I needed the education in the home and that strong support of the home and the freedom to learn on my own because I'm an independent kind of person. But I also needed that structure of school to balance. So for me, it was a good combination.
So people that worry about the socialization or the extracurricular activities and things like that, how do you counter that?
I asked them, do you know my children? Pretty well socialized. That is a question that I've had from the beginning. I would have people ask it in a nice way, and people ask me in not such a nice way before. We found lots of ways to socialize. We did field trips a lot. We went out a lot. And my children learned to talk to people other than people their same age and their same grade. So
Right.
they began to have connections with older and younger people. They could talk to adults the same as they could kids. For me, that was a big benefit of, they were comfortable no matter where they were. And they could help the younger kids listen to the older kids. That was just a big benefit. But we definitely made a point of not sheltering them whatsoever. We made sure that they were around other people a lot. And I just feel like that socialization thing is basically not correct in I've never met a homeschool family that wasn't socialized. Didn't have kids that got along with everybody.
And I imagine I tried homeschooling just for 1 year with Brandon when he was in kindergarten. I realized it was just too much for me. I just it was too much. But I imagine that it would be, because you're homeschooling, everything you do is an opportunity, is a learning opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So you can take a trip to the mall or whatever and turn it into a lesson.
Most definitely.
Or,
We always made everything into a lesson, even the grocery store. But we also did a lot of extracurricular. We did gymnastics, we did ballet, we did baseball. My boys did baseball up until high school. So what else did they do? We did everything.
Theater. We did a lot of theater.
So much theater. We were able to do a lot more theater because of our schedule being more flexible.
Right.
So I had 3 of my kids did a lot of acting, different types of shows. So
we have a comment. Althea Hurd says, "Yes, I love that. I love that. I homeschool 4 kids also. They are all so social and can talk to adults so well."
Most definitely. I know Althea's kids. They are wonderful kids.
So what would you say to a parent who is thinking about homeschooling? And
me.
Yeah.
And
Lauren decided almost immediately. She knew she wanted to homeschool August. So she's already started, which, it's amazing to me to watch, because this little boy, I'm biased, of course, but he's already so smart. But she spends so much time just reading to him, and they've got the program at the library where they've got, it's 100.
Yeah, it's
1,000 books.
the 1,000 books before kindergarten program, and then the Read It Again kit.
Yeah, so they've got all these programs, and she gets him involved in everything, which is, it's just fascinating. So I look and I think, wow, when he's school age, what is this going to look like? So I'm enjoying, living vicariously through my daughter. But again, so what advice would you give to a parent who is wanting to embark on homeschooling?
Exactly what you're doing, Lauren. Just read. When they're little, read to them all the time. Let them experience things. Let them play with just everything that they're interested in that's not going to hurt them, obviously. And don't be scared of not doing it the way schools do it. And nobody loves your child as much as you do. And you want the best for your child. Nobody wants to see your child succeed as much as you do, you and your husband. So it is with that it gives you some freedom to go, okay, I want them to know this, I want them to know that. And you just start teaching those things that are important to you. For me, I was able to ground my children in Scripture. I knew that they were hearing what they needed to hear at home, and I feel like that has stayed with all of them. Obviously, I know it stayed with them. And but yeah, don't be afraid to do what you want to do with them. If they miss something in 3rd grade, they're going to catch up with it in 4th grade. We didn't. Some of my kids didn't even realize what grades they were in when they were little. We just learned, and it was fun, and we had a good time. And enjoy your children, because they won't be little forever. So you just enjoy that time.
Well, with homeschooling too, you can also cater to how they learn. Their different learning styles. So each of us, all 4 of us, had different learning styles. And so I remember my mom, for my brother, he needed to move a lot. So she would have him outside bouncing the basketball and counting every time to learn math. And for me, I like to sit at my desk and fill in the worksheets and get that done. And we had art ones that like to build things and learn. So it's just, you can start learning your child now and how they're going to be successful with school. My husband and I just had a discussion about this the other day. My toddler, she just is 90 to nothing all the time. He said, I don't know how you're going to homeschool her with her moving so much. I was like, well, she would not do well in school because you have to sit in the desk. And so we'll be able to teach her at her pace and keep up with her that way.
That's key.
That's one of the coolest things, because you can't go to public school and expect a tailored education experience
it's
to you. It's very general, and if you can't catch up with that, you're out of luck. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and there is so much curriculum out there right now that you could choose from. So if you have a kid that's more hands-on, there's more curriculum for that. If you have a kid that needs to be read to every day, that's easy. Do that, And then for the visual kids that just need to sit down and fill in a workbook, there are so many of those as well. So
So there's
if you don't like,
curriculums you can purchase
hmm
through like certain organizations, or is this like an Amazon thing? How do you get them?
yeah, the book fairs are great. The homeschool book fairs are wonderful that you can go in and you can actually meet the people that write this curriculum. You talk to other parents. That's why support group's great. There you say, hey, what did you use for math at this age? I have a child that really doesn't like to sit down with a textbook. What did you use? And you listen to what other people say. If something doesn't work, get rid of it. Try something else. You do spend some money in homeschooling because sometimes things just don't work for one child like they did in another child. So I would change up my curriculum and try something out. I did a lot of research. I usually went directly to the companies, or I got it directly from a homeschool book fair. But there's just a ton of material to use. And if you just want to use something that you have, use it. You know, when you have a little one, if you just want to count all the silverware in your kitchen, or count all the little rubber balls that you have that you've accumulated, things like that, and start taking away 2 rubber balls. How many do you have left if you started with 5? Things like that.
Right.
So it's very it's a natural progression of things. Now, obviously by junior high and high school age, they need some things to show what they have done, so that when they go to college, you have some material. But
now, how supportive are states of homeschooling? Let's talk about Texas in particular.
Texas is amazing. We don't have to test. We don't have to show any authority at all what our kids have done. We write our own diplomas. So for a homeschooling parent that is really doing what they need to be doing, that's perfect. Now, to get into college, you are going to need to show a transcript. We create our own transcript, and we show the work
There's
that they've done.
apps for that.
Yeah, yes, great apps. Yeah, I always use that. But not all states are that easy to work with. Many of them will require the parents to test, or require the parents to send in their children's tests, things like that, to monitor how they're doing.
So Texas really just leaves you alone. I'm homeschooling my child, and they just back off.
Completely leave you alone. It's considered a private school. Homeschooling is a private school in Texas, and you don't have to follow TEA at all.
What's TEA?
Texas Education Association.
Okay.
Which I did use their website quite often, just to see, okay, am I kind of on track, what my kids are learning? So it was a great tool for me.
This sounds like it was a lot of work for you. But like you said, you love your kids more than anybody else does. So.
Yeah. So yeah, it was work, but so worth it. And I didn't feel like it was work then, I guess. I felt like it was just investing in them. So.
For sure.
It's like cloth diapering is more work than disposables, but it's
Mm-hmm.
worth it.
It's worth it. Huh. Okay, so we've got to take a break in a minute, but before we do, I want to just talk a little bit about preparing for college. So how does that tie into your curriculum and what you're teaching, or when you're teaching, or does it?
Oh, yes. By the time they get to, well, let me say that when they're in elementary school, I did not test them, really. I did some occasional Stanford achievement testing just to see where they were and kind of help me, but I didn't share those results with them. I didn't test them because I knew what they knew.
Right.
They could tell me what they had learned. But by the time they got to later junior high school, 8th, 9th grade, I did start requiring they take tests over their material, and I saved those tests so that I could give them an average grade every year. I just didn't feel like at the beginning it was a good assessment of what they were learning in elementary school. But for college, I looked at some of the colleges that were close by, and I looked to see what they required, and I made sure by the time that my kids got to high school, got to senior year, that they had taken all of those classes.
Okay.
So Spanish and speech and all of the things that colleges want to see on their transcript.
Okay.
I've had 3 of my 4 go to college. Tristan has her master's, and I know she's proud of that. I'm very proud of that.
Should be.
And then my son has his bachelor's. I have one daughter that chose not to go to college, and then my youngest is in college now. So.
Okay. Wow, well done, Mom.
I feel like they're successful. I feel like they've done all right. So.
That's really cool. I was gonna. What about SAT? So preparing for the SATs.
They have SAT prep courses that you can sign your children up for, and a couple of them I know have had such success in those that they have multiple children that have gotten full rides. Tristan, can I share with?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Actually, Tristan, share your experience with about the SAT.
So the first time I just didn't care that much. I really didn't want to go to college for a short season. So I was like, whatever, I'll do it. I have to take this test. So I didn't do great. I did pretty well, but I didn't do great. And my parents were like, you can do better than this. We know you can. And so my dad said,
which is the benefit of you being the teacher.
Exactly.
You know that.
I knew what she could do. I knew she
and
was
I got
holding
great
back.
grades, even in my my private school classes, and so they knew I could do better. So my dad said, "You're motivated by money, so I'm going to pay you because you're going to save money on with your scholarships if you do better." So they they paid me to do better. So I took a test or
We
a
did,
class,
and it was a good investment of our money.
I took a class at a local high school that offered it, and they let homeschoolers come in, and it was like every Saturday for a month or something. And then I retook the test, and I did really well, and I got a full tuition scholarship to a private university in Arkansas.
Full ride.
So
It was definitely worth it.
It was
our
worth
money
it,
and
yeah.
our time.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Great story. Okay, motivated by money. That's unusual. I've never heard of that.
I was motivated from money from a young age.
That wasn't
see.
the only time we used money
Yeah.
for her.
It worked for me.
You said you have to use what works.
Yes, exactly.
That's hilarious. But we need to take a short break. And we will be back with Gail and Tristan in a few minutes. Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima. We are here with Gail and Tristan of All in the Nest Doulas, and we were talking about homeschooling, but we want to switch gears a little bit and start talking about essential oils. So I know that both of you, I think, or just Tristan, you have the Young Living essential oils. So can you talk about maybe how you use them in your day-to-day, whether it's for your health or cleaning or whatever? How do you use them?
Yeah, actually, Gail does them too because she was the one that bought me my starter kit several years back. So she pushed me on that road, and I'm glad
Tristan
she did.
teaches me about it, though.
Yeah.
She knows a lot more than I do.
So I use essential oils for pretty much anything. We were talking during a break earlier about how Thieves oil and cleaner is one of the most used products in my house because I have a toddler and she likes to touch everything and it's gross. So I have to go behind her and kind of clean up. We've started some potty training, so I trust that the thieves cleaner is going to take care of all that mess. We use it for sleep support. We use it for immune support. We use it for, I use it as part of my makeup routine. I use it for just about anything you can think of.
So how do you use it with makeup?
So they have their own makeup line. It's called Savvy Minerals, and it has no toxins and all those yucky things you're going to see in other makeup that if you do your research, it's horrible sometimes. It's all clean. So I really like that about it. And then before I bought all that, I was making kind of my own stuff and adding like frankincense and lavender to my moisturizer to help with skin support, all that kind of stuff. But mostly I use the oils for emotional support for me and my whole family. Right now I'm in a postpartum season, so I have some anxiety, and I have to have my oils to help me stay even-tempered, and they're a lifesaver in that way. And
now, how are you using them? Diffusing? Are you applying them topically, or
all of it? Yeah, I diffuse a lot in my home. Things that are safe for the kiddos, like some lavender is always good for my family, and uplifting ones like citrus, orange kind of things. And then for me, I apply them topically. Like right now I'm wearing Stress Away just to help because I'm a little nervous, but I put that on, and it helps a lot. I use frankincense. Sometimes I even put them in my water, so I can put like lemon to help balance everything in my body internally. So there's 3 different uses. It's internal, diffusing, and topically.
okay? So you've got them all covered.
I do. I need all the oils in me.
Yeah, we started being interested in essential oils about 2 or 3 years ago, I guess. And so I bought some of everything. No, I haven't had shown any loyalty to any one company. Or just if I feel like I need something, or I've gone on Pinterest and it said mix these 2 together, so I'll just go and get them. So I probably need to make sure I'm getting high quality oils. But I've loved it. Diffusing for everything. In fact, you had something going on where your sinuses, where allergies were acting up. That helped because I couldn't hear myself.
Yeah.
And so you diffused.
It was lavender, chamomile, and one other thing. And it was like in the diffuser that has, it's like a
the
face,
mister.
Yeah, like the face mask.
It was almost like making it like an inhaler almost. So she was like inhaling it, and
it really, really helped.
Yeah.
She was sneezing non-stop. I mean,
That's
literally
my
non-stop. It
Yeah.
was terrible. But it's amazing that essential oils are so powerful. And it's in the world that we live in, where we're so quick to buy Benadryl or whatever it is to think to stop before that and say, wait a minute, I can do something natural to combat this.
I know. People ask me, I have a purse and a diaper bag. They expect I have a Tylenol in one of those bags. Like, I'm sorry, we don't use that anymore.
Yeah.
Let me help you with some other ways I can support your systems to, feel better.
I'm still waiting for what I'm about to say now. I'm still waiting for that oil that will.
No, something about your hot flashes.
Yes.
Yes.
Lauren bought me peppermint. Remember this?
Yeah.
This was like 3-4 years ago. She bought me peppermint. And she said that it says if you put it behind your neck and you put it on your wrist and whatever, it's like, okay, behind my neck and my wrist are cool. The rest of me is on fire. Yes.
What I taught my mom and her friends is
This
to
is
use
my first
Progessence
time,
Plus, and you put it on daily to support your hormone system. And I use it now because, there's postpartum hot flashes. So it helps kind of stabilize your hormones.
It does help. It does help.
Yeah.
What's in it?
It's a blend, and I don't know what all's in it. I'd have to check for you.
Oh,
I can look it up and post it on the comments.
Okay, yeah, that would be helpful. I need all of that.
Yes. Yeah.
It does help. And I use Clarity because I deal with some ADD. And so Clarity helps me really focus in. So I used that right before we got started. And for me, that's a life. If I have a lot of work to do, I'll put that on my temples, and I really focus in on the things I have to get done.
Now you mentioned Clarity and you mentioned Stress Away or something else, but so most of the oils with Young Living, they've mixed the oils and then they named them something else.
We have hundreds of them that are just the oil by itself, but then there's a bunch of blends that were formulated by Dr. Gary Young, who just passed away not long ago.
Oh.
But he's created all of these blends, and they're time tested, and they go through layers and layers and layers of testing, and they are targeting different areas of your brain. So I'm not the sciencey person, but so I have a science text-like book that I go to for reference. So say I need support for my daughter sleeping, I can go and look, and it says lavender, chamomile, cedar wood, all of those different oils that will help target that area of her brain that's causing her to stay active and help her to relax and let go of that and sleep. So I always go back to the resource books because I can't do it all on my own.
No, it seems like more people are using essential oils today, and maybe that just seems that way to me because we're so immersed in this natural parenting, this natural living world. But is that true? Do you know?
Well, I've kind of wondered the same thing too as you. Is it just because I'm surrounding myself with people who know, or what?
I think it is
because
I think it is getting more popular because I mean, even in grocery stores, you start seeing diffusers where you wouldn't have seen them before. I think it is gaining popularity.
Well, I can speak from
I
can speak from Young Living. The company has just grown and grown and grown, and it's hugely popular now. So I'm thinking more and more people are learning about how to swap what they're using now for the more natural essential oils.
Yeah, which is a good thing because it seems like it's kind of happening across the board as far as natural living, or what we're calling natural living, is concerned. I guess with the internet and all that, people are doing a lot more research and finding out, how harmful, medicines are, cleaning products are, makeup, all these other things.
There was a big one on sunscreen recently.
Yeah.
Oh,
sunscreen.
Yeah. When we were on vacation last week, there was washer and dryer in the house, of course, and people were washing. Did we talk about this at all? The scent of the detergent.
Yeah.
To make your head hurt.
It was so strong, and it didn't really make my head hurt, but it was just irritating. It was like a background kind of, like almost like background noise. It was irritating. And I didn't realize until then, because I don't use scented detergent anymore, I didn't realize now that so many scents that for other people, they don't even notice it. It's just like, big exclamation point for me. It's like, oh my God, what is that?
And in talking about that, it's crazy because a few years ago, I loved the scent of Gain detergent.
And the Gain dryer sheets.
And the Gain
little
confetti things
that you make the extra scent booster.
Just for the scent. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, this
my
smells
laundry's clean.
This smells clean. It's like, no, it doesn't smell clean.
Yeah, it
smells like Gain.
It is just the same thing as when people smell babies with baby lotion. They say, oh, it smells like a baby. No, it smells like baby lotion.
Johnson
I have
&
a
Johnson.
particular lotion that I still love to wear, and every time I wear it, Tristan goes, oh my gosh, that is so strong. And I think, I put that on hours ago. I don't smell it. But she can still really smell it.
It's funny because we are so used to having everything just so heavily scented, cleaning products and everything. And I don't even really wear perfume anymore for that very reason, because it's like an assault to my nose now. It's so funny.
Yeah, my sister says my house always smells like thieves. I'm like, I don't smell anything anymore. That's my home. But she's like, it smells good. And but when I walk through Walmart, like I can't go down that aisle with all the cleaning products because it makes me overwhelmed.
Or passing by like Bed Bath & Beyond in the mall. That's the worst.
Or we're just naming all these places, but oh well. But Kirkland's is another one. Have you ever been in there? It smells. Oh my gosh.
Very strong.
It's like, get me out of here. But it's so funny.
So it is good that it seems like things are starting slowly to turn, and people are really starting to realize that, this may smell good, but it's really not good for me to be inhaling this. What is this really doing? So.
And especially knowing that inhaling essential oils, for instance, is something that can help you. It can treat symptoms and things like that. So that means that these other things that we are smelling,
what is it doing?
I really,
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I really think about that. All these synthetic odors that we're surrounded by everywhere we go. So it's very interesting.
I think it goes with how people are doing a lot of their own research now. And we're seeing that as birth doulas and childbirth educators, that people are seeing how it's always been and saying, I think I want something different. And so they're able to, the world's at their fingertips, they can go and research and see, like, this is not okay for me. I don't want to put this in my body. So what is a better choice? So that's definitely a good thing. I remember when Lauren was
having August, maybe the time before, one of those times she was in the hospital, she had a midwife.
This is when I was having him.
Okay. And she brought in the diffuser and the essential oils and everything in the hospital. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And she turned the lights down, and she ended up having a cesarean, of course, but it was just really nice, and it just really changed the mood of the room.
Completely.
That's
completely
part of,
changed
we
it.
definitely add this into our birth plan when we ask our clients, what do you want your atmosphere to be like?
Yeah.
Shall we use aromatherapy? What oils do you like to diffuse? Let's bring a diffuser and the lights. We definitely encourage the low lights, the soft music, all of that. It just it's different. It pleases the senses. It it allows your body to release more oxytocin, and it just is very helpful.
And totally different from the stereotypical view of how you picture a mom having, giving birth in the hospital with the fluorescent lighting, legs spread wide,
screaming and hollering.
Everybody's rushing in the room, and just
she's cussing everybody out.
Yeah,
just
that totally opposite.
That environment really disrupts your oxytocin. Whereas if you're dimming the lights, you're able to go into yourself. You have that diffuser that's either bringing a calming in emotion or something that's bringing you strength. Those kind of things are helping flow your oxytocin. Which,
Now, were you into essential oils and things like that before you had Ren, your first child?
I really picked them up again during my pregnancy with her. I had the kit for a while and didn't know what to do with it. And my chiropractor said, well, you could start using those oils during your pregnancy and learn how to use them. And so for all of those little aches and pains and the anxiety, and she taught me, here's what you use for this kind of stuff to support your body through pregnancy and through childbirth. And so I learned about them more, and then I felt called to continue that learning as a new mom. Like, you don't want to just I was using baby Dreft and, all of these things that now I know, I probably should have thought a little more. You just keep on learning. The more you know, the better you can do.
So contrast your two pregnancies then with what you've learned through the years. What did you do differently when you had Phoenix?
So with Phoenix, I have really struggled with anxiety. And so I had to really target that with my oils and use them. And since having him, and we had a traumatic experience after his birth where we were back in the hospital, or in the hospital because he was born in a birth center and then he got sick. So I have had some anxiety and panic, and so I've learned how to use my oils to cut that off before it builds and overcomes me. And so they've supported me a lot through that. I knew more what to do for those aches and pains and things that were going to come up, and I didn't have to, call my midwife every time and say, hey, can I take this for this? Because there's such a long list of things you're not supposed to take. And as a doula, I knew that, but it's nice to have another option, something you can do safely.
Now, but there are some essential oils that are not safe during pregnancy. I know when we were talking, going back to when Lauren was having this allergic reaction or whatever it was, we started looking at the oils that she couldn't use. Because I have this little kit, which is, you have to see it, it's really hilarious, with 1 million bottles of oils. So I brought out my little kit, and I'm Dr. Kima. I'm pulling everything out, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this should work, and this should work, and this should. And she's and when I'm pulling things out, she's looking on her phone like, no, we won't use that, we won't use that, and
wintergreen and eucalyptus are probably no-nos for pregnancy, and she was probably like, here, this will help open you up.
Yeah, you would think so.
Eucalyptus is the go-to, so no.
Yeah, that's not one you should use in pregnancy.
Now, why not?
That's a science question.
Okay,
I have to
I'm
look
sorry.
that one up. No, okay. I know these to tell my clients. I'm like, don't do these, but I'm not really sure why. And I know that peppermint, I've heard that peppermint can cause some issues with positioning of baby, and so
and nursing too.
And nursing, it can lower your milk supply. So,
and there's some oils that are not safe for infants for diffusing.
Absolutely. I keep the peppermint away from my infant too, because it can cause some respiratory issues. It's very strong, and their systems are not ready for that. Thieves, I don't diffuse that right around my infant. I do still clean with it, and so I feel confident with him laying on the floor where I've cleaned the floor. That kind of thing is okay, but if it's too much, it'll overpower them. And there's probably more. I'd have to make a list. But
Which again makes you wonder about the other things like
Yeah.
dryer sheets, that scent in the air. What does that do to families, to
Yeah.
children, whatever? It's quite interesting, the things we don't really think about.
It's also important to choose your essential oils wisely, because essential oils, the way they work is they're crossing your blood-brain barrier and they're getting into your brain, and whatever is in them is carried with them. So you want to make sure that your oils you trust their source, that they're pure, and you're not taking the pesticides that they sprayed on the plant into your brain. So.
Right, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's why you don't go renegade like me and just start ordering oils on Amazon or
That's
going
where
to
I started.
or
I
going
regret
to
that.
Sprouts or whatever and just picking up whatever. They're also expensive. I think that was part of it. When I
Yeah, it
started, I
is.
was
It's an
like, I just need
investment.
I was looking for the cheapest way to do it initially, but I know a little better now. I think.
We'll keep working on you.
Yes, yes. Keep working
At least
on me.
you know you can make your own stuff. I know you've said you made bug spray before and that kind of thing.
I need something now to get rid of cats.
If you figure it out, let me know. Our neighborhood is full of
Mine
feral cats.
too,
Yeah.
and they live in my yard.
We have a little play
And start
structure for
families.
Ren.
And they've started a family.
Yeah, we have some kittens
Oh.
too.
That's so funny. You're the same way.
So you don't know how to get rid of? I mean,
I'll look it up. I haven't even thought about it.
okay, yeah.
See,
yeah.
it takes me some time to remember. Oh yeah, I have an oil for that.
Okay, when you figure that out, please let me know. Yeah.
We diffused some citronella oil and lemongrass at our garage sale the other day, and nobody was getting bit. It was
okay.
great.
Yeah, we've tried that. We've tried that too. I made the bug spray with the citron, which I hate that scent on me. I can't stand that
Yeah.
So
scent.
citronella.
Yeah, I don't like the way that it smells at all. It's so strong. But it's better than
Getting
some of the
bit.
other. It's better than the other bug repellents that people are spraying on.
Right.
I play golf, and it's so funny because I'll be on the golf course. We're about to ready to start, and all the ladies start taking out their bug repellent, and they're just spraying. And I'm backing up because I don't want that mist to come on me, and it's so strong. And I'm thinking, you're actually putting that on your skin? Ew. And then after they do all this spraying of the bug repellent, because the bugs out there obviously are terrible from head to toe, then they're doing the sunscreen. The same thing, and I'm thinking, just poison on top of poison. No, thank you.
Do
I'll
they
take
not
my
know
chance
you?
with. Evidently not. They still offer me too. Do you want some? No, I'll take my chances with the bugs. Thank you. Yeah, it's really funny. So it's time for us to take another break.
Yes. So it's time for us to take a short break, but we want to remind you to join Tarrant County Breastfeeding Coalition at the 7th Annual Family Expo in Big Latchon, coming up this Saturday, August 4th at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. This free event includes vendors and a silent auction featuring goodies and gifts for all ages, as well as the Big Latchon, which is a worldwide event where participants gather to breastfeed together and support and celebrate each other. The Family Expo is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., with the Big Latchon happening at 10:30 a.m. For more information, visit tarrantbfcoalition.com. And now we will take that break. We will be back in about 7 minutes.
And remember, there will be silence. Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren Akima. We are here with Gail and Tristan of All in the Nest Doulas, and we have been talking about homeschooling and essential oils. And now I want to talk some about your childbirth education classes, because you guys do some of everything, and so we're trying to make sure we can cover everything. So let's talk about that. I know you just started your class, so talk about what it is and who benefits from it, and just give us a background on that.
Well, this is something that came natural for me because I have been teaching for years, obviously homeschooling, and then I taught other people's kids, so it just kind of worked into, I was a teacher, a natural teacher, and I thought after we had come across quite a few young women in different places that did not have a clue as to what was going to happen to them in childbirth, Tristan and I talked about it and realized we need to educate them. We need to educate them. So that was something that I chose to use my my income on this year, to turn my income into more education for me. So I was trained by Nakia Lawson, and I went through her training. I'm still kind of working with her in her community childbirth classes, and it has been great. Good education for me. I feel like I can give back in a lot of ways, and I can use it to further our business. So those were the two areas I really wanted to focus on.
So is it like Lamaze or like the Bradley method, or I mean, is it comparable to those, or is it something totally different?
It's kind of in between.
Okay.
It's probably more Lamaze based, but we also give a lot more information about natural birth, and well, they were very natural minded, but Lamaze is. But there's a lot more information as well, and I can kind of change the classes depending on who's in them. If I have more moms that are doing home births or birth center births, I can just kind of aim my class that direction. If I have hospital births, I can do that. But we felt very blessed to be able to use Crunchy Boutique to teach our first classes, and they went really well. So we have enjoyed the classes. I look forward to seeing these mamas after they deliver and getting them back together again to see each other's babies. And then I have classes scheduled in August. I'm going to be working with the Pregnancy Center. I'm going to be teaching some classes there. And then I'll be teaching for my church. We have a compassion center at the church on Rush Creek, and I'll be teaching some classes there as well in September. Okay. So I hope to get back around to teaching all of these again in October, to kind of do it in a quarterly cycle.
Now, do you teach the classes together?
Yes.
Right now, I'm more auditing her class and giving her feedback and helping her take notes about what she would like to change for her next series. And I pitch in a little bit because I didn't go through the childbirth education training that she did. I just share from what I've learned on my own research and my doula training.
And she's a good resource based on what she's gone through too. And she'll share her story, and was able to share about postpartum in my last class. So that's been very helpful.
Now, is there some type of certification for childbirth education, or?
Yeah. I mean, anybody could teach. It's better to have a certification. I think it kind of shows what you've been serious about learning. So my certification was through these community classes and through Nakia had as a program. So.
Okay. And you said, so I know you just started this class, and you said you have another one coming up. So you probably haven't seen any of your students have baby. Yes, you did. You just told me you had one of your students have a baby. She went in yesterday, so I haven't talked to her. So I'm assuming that she has a baby by now. But who knows? It could have taken a while. But for your doula services or even your class, it must be satisfying when you get to meet these babies afterward.
Oh, that's what we do it for. We get to see these babies be born and into the world, and it's such a miracle every single time. And it's I can't imagine ever getting tired of this or getting old. I cannot imagine. Can you?
No.
What about the on-call aspect of it? That's what I think about. That would, waking you up in the middle of the night, or.
Yeah, that's tough because more so than being bothered by waking up, we get stressed worrying that we're going to sleep through a phone call. I think that's our biggest worry, is that we won't be there for our clients. Not that we are going to miss some sleep. We knew that was going to happen. What we didn't know was we would experience some anxiety about the possibility of missing a birth, and that is a fear of ours. So
I
we
can
would
see that.
Yeah,
I would be afraid of that too.
We want to be there for them. So we're on call for 2 weeks before their scheduled due date and 2 weeks after, until they have the baby, obviously. And then during that time, we just, I guess, are just a little bit more of a heightened awareness of, okay, anything we do right now could be preempted by a birth. So
No vacations, no, yeah.
we have to definitely schedule our vacations around any births.
Especially since we're mother and daughter. So if we want to have a family vacation, we have to make
we
sure
know the
no
feeling.
babies are due.
Yeah.
We just try not to, like in August, my other daughter is getting married. So I definitely, both of us had to be careful about scheduling anything right during the middle of that. So, yeah, and we have a backup doula too that we will call if we need to.
So both of you go to the births together?
Not normally. Normally, we each have our own clients, and so we'll each attend our own births, but we're on call as backup. And since I just had a baby, I had a client, my first client postpartum recently, she came with me to take care of the baby, and I would step out and nurse him, and she would step in and take care of the mom in labor, and it worked beautifully. And I was able to still be the mom I needed to be and the doula I need to be.
Now, I'm sure when you started the business, you had an idea of what it would look like, what it would feel like, and how it would be, and all that. What kinds of surprises have you had over the past year with your business? What shocked you, or what interesting things have happened, or?
I have been surprised how much of it is business and paperwork and marketing. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised. I should have known. Even running a business, it's business, but I just was passionate about the work itself. And I have had to learn a lot. I've learned how to build a website. I've learned how to network with people.
I had to take an Instagram class because I just didn't know. I mean, other than looking at other people's pictures, I didn't know anything. I'm still learning.
Social media is tough. It's definitely necessary, but it's tough. That's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it is.
But definitely necessary. That's where we are now. And I know that we'll talk about how people can reach you on social media a little later, but I do notice all your posts.
That's good. I'm glad you noticed.
Yes.
We've learned a lot from you guys too.
Yeah, we do. Since we all started at the same time,
we did.
had our growth at the same way and learning from each other. So
it's so funny. We've definitely, in talking about looking back, and I'm sure you have these kinds of stories too. We look back on some of our early posts. And we're just, oh my God, did we really post this? Just some of the graphics and things like that were just so elementary.
Yeah.
So we feel like we've grown now. So do you have things like that you look back on and say, oh my God, did we really do that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Some of our first births, I think, we've learned so much from those. I mean, they were great experiences. Would we do a few things different? Yeah, maybe so. Just the way that we might have been ourselves, I think we would have been a little bit different on some things. But babies get here and however they're supposed to, and we love on them, and that's just the best part of the job. So,
I would think that's so do you keep pictures of all the babies and all that?
We try to always take a picture of us with the newborn if we can.
That's another thing we've learned, because we didn't do that. I didn't do that in the beginning. I was just like, okay, I need a nap now. And go home and forget to take a picture.
That's the one thing I would remember. I take pictures of everything. So, I'd remember to take the picture. I might forget some other things, like giving the baby to the mama for skin to skin or something. I don't know. But
well, luckily, we don't have to worry about that.
So do you work with midwives often, most of the time?
Most of mine have been with midwives. I've had a couple that were with OBs.
Yeah, me too. I think just two. And I have one coming up that's an OB and one that's midwife. So and you just learn to work with whoever, and it's always a learning experience. We've never left a birth that we didn't learn something from a nurse or a midwife or a doctor. And in that way, you just go in knowing that I'm going to learn. And you're a team player. That's what we plan on doing. We support the mama and daddy, but we're a team player. We work with the nurses, the doctors, the midwives, as a team.
Now, when you have hospital births, are the hospitals usually receptive to you being there? Are they cooperative, or are they looking like, why are you here?
Both.
It depends on the hospital. It depends on the hospital. Most of ours have been at Harris downtown, which is a very natural friendly because they have the acclaimed midwives. And so we step in there and we say hi to the nurses we recognize, and they're like, okay, let them do their thing. And they're usually pretty great. And then sometimes we have to kind of simmer down because there's some ego and we don't want to step on anybody's toes. You just have to read the room and remember that we're there for the family and not, we're there to support them and to love on them and help them to make their decisions.
Right.
And encourage them.
Yeah. Yeah, and we kind of coach mom to, when she goes into a hospital, if her plan is to have a natural birth, she needs to ask for a nurse that is very natural minded, because in the United States, most women go into the hospital assuming that as soon as they can, they're going to have an epidural. Some of our clients have epidurals, and that's fine if that's their plan. But if they choose to have a natural birth, we don't want anybody to come in and say, hey, when are you going to get your epidural? We don't want that introduced into their mind when they're already in labor.
Right.
So we kind of ask that. And we create a birth plan and ask the nurse to read that at the beginning. And any nurse that comes in new shifts, we ask them to kind of look over that. And they've been really great. We've had very few that were not great experiences, and even in those, they weren't there at the birth. They came in and shift changed, luckily.
Thank God.
Thank God. I think that's it. I think it was God. It changed those nurses to somebody that was a lot more accepting of their plan.
So what's next for All in the Nest doulas? You've survived your first year.
I'm ready to take on more births now that I'm past a little bit of the maternity leave. I've trained in postpartum belly binding, and because of my experience postpartum, I have so much compassion for the postpartum mom, and I want to learn more how to support through that really sometimes difficult season. We call it the fourth trimester because your hormones are still going, and it's a whole another time of adjustment. And so I want to grow in my understanding of that and support for the moms in that. What else do we want to do?
Yeah, I love starting these classes. They've been just great for me to be concentrating on these, writing some curriculum, getting ready for different types of classes. I'm going to do some more breastfeeding training in November, I think. And then we are scheduled to do a spinning babies class, a course in October, I believe, which we're very excited about. Spinning Babies is a company that goes in and teaches you different
positioning,
different positions, different ways to help move babies, get babies down into position to be born, and so
and if they're breached
excited
too as well, they show you what to do, right?
And in fact, Phoenix was for a while breech, and I was anxious, and so I was every day doing all of the spinning babies. I was upside down and rubbing the belly the right way. And so now we're going to learn techniques to help moms through different baby positioning, and say labor is taking a long time. It could be a malposition of the baby. So we'll be able to kind of assess that and help them know what to do.
Now, you talked about belly binding. Let's go back to that. I'm not sure that I totally know what that really means.
I was just thinking that a lot of people come in to the store and they, say, I do belly binding and all that, and we're kind of just like, and we don't really know what that means. What does that mean?
Just like somebody what's the beads?
Oh, belly beads. Some kind of belly beads. I don't know.
Are you familiar with the beads or whatever? Yeah, but somebody came in with that too, and we did that too. We do that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. We'll carry that, and we actually did, and we were thinking, what is this?
I have no idea what it is.
I have no idea
And
either.
she actually got. Hope she's not listening, but she actually.
Mom.
I'm gonna say it. She got mad because we didn't sell it, and she came and took them back out because we were selling them on consignment. But it's funny.
Anyway, back to the belly binding.
So, you can go to Target and buy one of those closure. It's like a girdle, for postpartum.
Okay.
It's the same kind of idea. It's only it's intentionally wrapping yourself with this fabric. It's Bangkok belly binding. You can look it up.
I've seen that.
Yes, it's beautiful when you see it done well. And
So do you
I've
like
learned
go
how to do
out
it.
with it, or it's like underneath your clothes? What do you?
Can be.
You can go out with it. In fact, y'all had an event recent. I think it was your anniversary, and somebody came in with their belly binding, and I was like, "Oh, it looks beautiful."
Oh, so they
you
wear
can-
it. Oh.
You could wear it. So you want to put like a tank top on, and then have the binding done over that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've seen that. It kind of looks like a scarf, like a big scarf. Kinda.
It's a long strip of fabric about this big, and a lot of people have it dyed really beautifully, and it's wrapped, and it looks like little knots and strips.
What's the origin? Do you know?
I believe it's India.
Okay. I was just
If
wondering, 'cause I know I've
Nikia's
seen.
listening, she's gonna be like, "Oh, she learned it in Bali,"
Oh, okay.
and she's the one that passed that info on to me.
So it's
So-
designed to help you lose weight, or
It helps with a lot of things. It helps move all your organs where they need to be. Helps with your posture. It helps.
Womb care helps your womb get
Yeah.
back into the right place and shape.
And it helps, with weight loss as well.
so
Yeah.
is that comfortable? That doesn't sound like.
So I don't do it all the time. I've done it on myself quite a bit, and I usually do it at night, and so that I'm sleeping and I'm laying still, because it's hard to sit for a long time with it done.
So
I had
it's
it
stiff
done,
and tight.
I think if you're up and moving, it wouldn't bother you at
It's
all.
just sitting
You said
still.
you had it done.
I did. Tristan practiced on me.
Oh, okay.
So I had it done.
And anybody can have it done. It's
It gives you a
Do me,
definite
do me.
hourglass figure.
I'll come test it out on you. I need more practice.
Yeah. Please.
Absolutely. And it just trains your body to hold everything where it needs to be. It strengthens those muscles.
Well, now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah, I've
Absolutely.
seen that name a lot of times,
Yeah.
and I think I've always been natural minded. We say this all the time. I mean, as they were growing up, I did a lot of natural things. There was no such thing as crunchy.
That's what I said.
But yeah,
no such
I mean,
thing as crunch. We
yeah.
didn't know it was crunchy.
But being immersed in this natural parenting world as we are now, we're learning new things all the time. And a lot of times we do stop along the way and say, what is that? Or explain this or whatever. But a lot of times, because there's so much to learn, we ask so many questions. A lot of times, as Lauren always says,
Use context.
use
clues.
context clues and figure it out. So people will come in and say something I've never heard, and I'll just go, oh,
It's like this
Never be
probably-
afraid
yeah.
to ask us. We will be glad to share with you anything.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
funny.
our answer will be, I don't know, too, but let's
Yeah.
look it up.
yeah. Google is our friend.
Yeah, that's the
They're like,
homeschool
well,
mom's answer.
sounds like it goes
Look it
around your belly, and then you're binded. So.
The nice thing about it is that, if you go buy one, it's not formed to your body. It's not personal. Whereas if you have somebody teach you how to bind yourself, you can adjust it as you are further postpartum and your body's changing.
Now, what kind of binding is done while you're pregnant, or is there any? Because I know you use.
Yeah.
So some people will use
like a
their
ring
baby
sling.
wraps and
Yeah.
to support. And my best friend Caitlin taught me how to do this, and it helps with that round ligament pain. It's just to use
That's what
your
you
wrap
need,
and
'cause
kind of support your body.
You've been
Yeah.
using the belly band.
Yeah, the belly band, which has
That's
worked,
another one.
which has worked really well.
Good,
because I
yeah.
have sciatic nerve pain really
Yes.
bad with this one, with this pregnancy. So that's helped a lot.
Another thing people will do for that is the kinesiology tape. You can have a chiropractor kind of tape your belly all different ways, and to support you, it helps a lot.
The tape like you use for running.
Oh, that's a good idea. I
Yeah.
need to do that because it's been
Yeah.
pretty bad. This one.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
she's
I'm
really been
sorry.
suffering with that pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, just using a chiropractor, too, really helps with that.
Absolutely.
A Webster certified chiropractor
Yeah.
is really helpful.
Yeah, I
when you're
used the chiropractor with August. I need to get back in it with this pregnancy.
Yeah, that will help.
Mhm.
Yeah. As far as what else we're doing, we're just going to continue our education as much as we can, and then we just want to build our business more. And we have met such amazing birth workers in DFW, and we
There
just,
are a lot.
yeah.
So have we, and it's incredible.
Yes.
It's like this is a great network. I don't know if it's like this in
Definitely.
other parts of the country, but here, it's amazing.
It is, and we all tend to get along really well for the most part, and work together, and we can we can recommend each other, and so we feel like we're in an amazing family right now, just working with different people, and we seem to always have somebody we can recommend if somebody is if one of our clients is asking for something.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing, is that it does seem to be a close-knit community. And when people come in, they a lot of times they've come in because somebody has told them, about us, and they simply want to introduce themselves, not, they're not customers per se, but, telling us about what services they have to offer, whatever. And so we're happy to refer people. But yeah, it does seem like a really close-knit community. It's cool. We always say, obviously, we're not birth workers, but we love being as part of this community anyway. Just it's awesome. Yeah, and such great work that has to be very, very rewarding. Like you said, seeing that newborn baby, that's reward.
The first time you see a mom able to latch her baby and breastfeeding, you're like, yes, you celebrate with them. Or they go home and they've had several days of hard emotions, and then they have a breakthrough. It's just, you celebrate with them. You're rewarded with them. That's the reward in it.
Yeah. One thing that Tristan and I both realized a few months ago, we both looked at each other and went, we love women. We have come to appreciate women in general so much. I mean, growing up in school, there were times where girls can be so catty with each other, and sometimes you get a bad feeling about girls, but as women, we have learned to just really celebrate each other, and we all come in all different shapes and sizes and colors, and yet we're all so strong when it comes to birth and, and different situations. We're strong, and we've learned to really celebrate that.
There's definitely a camaraderie around just natural parenting in general. I think that's one of the main things that brings people together, is that commonality of wanting to do things naturally. So yeah, it's really something.
Yeah, and even in the birth worker community, there's a ton of us. You would think that there would be some competition, but what we see mostly is this cooperation and encouragement. And you see that there's a new birth doula, you go out and reach out and say, here, let me help you meet the right people to get your name out there.
Yeah,
So,
because
Go ahead.
I was probably gonna say the same thing you're gonna say, but which is so important, because you guys are both essentially fighting for the same thing. If another doula does well, that means you're gonna do well. That means more people know about doula services.
Yes.
I mean, it's great for the entire community, so it only makes sense.
And we talk a lot about the Black infant mortality rate, but the reality is that it's not just Black women that are dying. So you are working together for a common good. And it's like, it's a problem, period. And just empowering women and letting them know that there are other options, and that natural childbirth and all these natural things. I say all the time, when I had Brandon and Lauren, nobody talked to me about breastfeeding. I mean, nobody. And they came in immediately with bottles of formula. So I thought, okay, well, this is what I do. And, my mother, I don't know if she breastfed us or not, but she never discussed it. She never said, this is what you should do for them. So to be able to now, I say to people immediately when I meet them and they're pregnant, we're having that breastfeeding conversation right out the gate. It's like, this is the first thing we're going to talk about. Yeah. And then, of course, I talk about cloth diapering, which they really think I'm crazy then. But I think it's important. So I think that's what brings everybody together. It's like everybody has a different thing they're passionate about, and together it's like a whole. It makes the whole, and I think it's a great thing. It's exciting. I love it. But it's time for us to take our last break. Yes. We will be back with Tristan and Gail from All in the Nest Doulas momentarily. Welcome back to Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren and Kima, and we are still here with Gail and Tristan of All in the Nest Doulas. And we've talked about homeschooling and essential oils and your doula services. And because you're a mother-daughter team like we are, we're, very interested in that dynamic. It works well for us. But tell us about your mother-daughter dynamic and how you work together. And is it a good thing? Do you I know you get on each other's nerves sometimes. That's inevitable, but...
I don't know. We seem to be a great team together. I'll let you start, Tristan.
I was nervous working, when I first said, let's do this together. And then I almost reeled back and I was like, no, we are pretty much the same person. We're going to do great. We have so much in common. And that is really a good thing when we're working together, especially, if a mama hires me and I, for some reason, am unavailable to be at her birth, she gets my mom. And she is just like me. We serve women the same way. We have that same heart. And so that, in that sense, it works out great. We also are able to support each other in different areas of weakness. So I am more of the tech person of our duo, and she is more of the people person, really. And so we complement each other in that way.
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because I think you both are such people.
It's hard for me.
Both, yeah.
It drains me to constantly be putting an image out there. I would rather be home a lot of the times. But
whereas I'm more extroverted and I get my energy from people. So it kind of works well. I guess that's definitely a compliment together. So yeah, I learned so much from Tristan. I knew I would, but I've been amazed at how much that we have both grown. I feel like we've both grown, but how much I've learned from her. So, mamas, you can learn a lot from your daughters.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, this is the same here. It's funny because people talk about raising daughters. I hear it over and over and over again, how you're going to go through this difficult period when they're about 13 or 14 years old and you're going to hate each other. And I keep thinking, that never happened. Fortunately, I'm happy to say that didn't happen. So did you guys have a rough period where...
It happened for us.
It was a short time, but it was a difficult time. Yeah, so it took both of us kind of having to get really into not a messy situation, but a messy time, I guess, where we had to look into it and go, okay, what's really wrong here? What is it? And she was going through a few things that she didn't talk to me about. I was not understanding, so I was getting angry about it. And so I remember once her dad, I guess you were about 15 or 16 maybe. And I remember her dad going, I don't know what's going on, but you two have to talk it out. Gotta work this out. So I realized, okay, I've got to go in and see what we could do to fix this. Do you remember the time that I came in and talked to you and I gave you the little willow figure with the mother and the daughter? And it was
the little figurines.
Yeah,
you and Brandon was it
No,
Brandon?
Brandon.
Brandon
Brandon.
would give me those. Yeah.
Well, it was a picture. I mean, it was a willow figurine of a woman leaning down. She was sitting and she was leaning down, talking to a younger woman who was on her knees looking up. And I told her, I said, this is what I want us to be like. I want to feed into you, and I want you to be respectful, yet learn from me, but, be interested and want to learn from me. And even though you may not remember that really well, it was maybe it was more for me, but it was very much a turning point at that point in our lives, and we started to really enjoy each other very much. And by the time she had graduated, I was really sad to see her leave for college because I liked her a lot. I had fun with her, and I was going to miss her. So, and I did, but we talked on the phone at college, when you were at college, more than we talked more than we did before. So it just really was good for us.
Yeah, our relationship evolved a lot as I became an adult, and that's why we work so well now, is because more than mother and daughter, we're pretty much best friends.
Yeah.
And so we'll just be talking on the phone every day, and I'll be like, oh, did you know that this person's pregnant? Let's reach out to them. It's just kind of a natural flow of business and life together.
You seem to complement each other very well.
Yeah, most of the time we do. And she's not afraid to tell me, hey, that what you said that didn't work. That's don't say that again. Don't do that again. I'll go, okay, I'll learn from her that way because sometimes I don't think about those things. So yeah.
Now with our relationship, Lauren is one that tells me that. Oh, the same thing, I guess. Yeah. Lauren tells me.
Daughters go, don't say that
Yeah,
again.
she does. Like earlier today when she tried to stop me, but it was too late.
So then they have to do the fixing afterwards.
Yeah. She's always that little angel on my shoulder. It's like, don't say that.
A couple times in her class, I'm like, hey, go back and re-clarify that. You did not say that quite right.
She helps me fix things. So, yeah, sometimes even before I open my mouth, she knows I'm about to say something that's going to get me in trouble. She'll go, let's not do that. Let's not say that.
But that's the wonderful thing, too, about working with family. That's such a gift. It's such a wonderful thing, a blessing for sure, to be able to, to work with your family.
Yeah.
Because I've been an entrepreneur the majority of my life, but I say all the time that nobody cares about your business the way you or your family member will. You can hire people to work with you, but they're not going to care as much. And your family cares about you and your business. So it's definitely like I said, it's a blessing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of how she's done in the business, and when she is doing well, there's still that feeling of like, oh, I wish I could be doing better, but I'm more so just so excited that she's doing well, and how can I support her? How can I continue to help her business grow? Because that's going to do, it's our business. It's not, there's no competition. There shouldn't be any competition, and it's easy to be excited with her.
Yeah, over our first year, such a learning curve, both of us, and we both had times of discouragement, but they were different times. So the other one of us could lift each other up and go, it's going to be okay. It's going to work out.
Now, did you have certain expectations? Did you say, okay, when we start this, we need to have, 2 clients a month or something?
Yeah, we've reset goals a couple of times. And
when we started, I wasn't pregnant. So we quickly found out I was pregnant a couple months in. I was like, well, that changes things. We also thought this is going to become something big quickly. We were thinking, 4 clients a month and all these classes. You dream big, but there's so much more to it that takes time and building community that we're still trying to get our feet in the door places. But it's growing. It's been a steady growth, just not, it's
not as
different
fast
than
as we thought it would be, but it's growing. And like I said, every birth we learn from, both of us do. So if I have a birth, I'll go to her afterwards and go, okay, I'll call her on the way home from the birth and go, okay, this is what I learned. This is what we need to be aware of next time. This is what was wonderful about it. So we talk through every single one. And so that's helpful for both of us.
So how do you primarily get your clients?
It's
word
still
of
a
mouth.
lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. I've had a couple that just called. Well, both of us have had a couple that just called out of the blue and said, I heard about you somehow or another. One was a social media site of other moms. I don't even know who it was. And you've had a couple out of the blue that just contacted, not a friend of ours. So some of them, there's been some homeschool girls that we have both taken care of. So that was kind of neat. I knew them when they were young. Now they're married with having kids of their own. So that was neat. Sometimes clients will want somebody closer to their age. Sometimes they'll want somebody that's a little bit older, more like a mother figure. So they get a choice with us.
And it sounds like the two of you do a lot of networking. You go to a lot of events.
We do. Yeah, because we're always learning from what other doulas have done. It's also good to talk through what you are learning. So if you have had a more difficult birth, you're investing so much of your heart into this that sometimes you have to share that and let it out and have people validate you or encourage you. And so it's really important to network with the other birth workers.
Yeah, and support them and celebrate with them when they have something going on too. So we've learned to do that as well. So that's been neat. And we try to go to things together, but sometimes we end up going to things separately. When she had Phoenix, I still tried to go to some of the birth worker meetups and things like that, and they wanted to know how he was. They want to know how he was feeling and how she was feeling. So they cared, and that was neat to see that. So.
Okay. So how would people get in touch with you? Give all your contact information. I know you're on social media and have a website, so let's share all the information.
We have a really beautiful website, if I do say so myself.
I
that
can
I
say
put
You
so.
do. I
It
actually
is
went on
hours
it.
into
It's
it.
very nice.
Yeah,
Thank
we'd
you,
love for you to
thank
look at
you.
our website.
Yeah, so you can reach out to us on there. There's a chat box that is allinthenestdoulas.com. And our email address is allinthenestbirth@gmail.com. And then we're on Facebook. It's All in the Nest Doulas. And we're on Instagram. It's all you can find us. All in the Nest. We're
all
there.
in the nest, all in the nest. Where'd the
Yeah.
name come from?
Oh, that's a great question. I
My
love that
my
question.
daughter, her name is Wren, Wren, and it's a little bird. And I mean, it's kind of an image of safety, of beauty, of comfort, and also women go through a nesting phase in pregnancy. So all of those kind of gathered together to create. We want to help you create your nest for birth and for your postpartum period. So
And the fact that we're mother-daughter, it was
Yes.
our nest together. And so, yeah, that's been neat. And since then, we've met several other business owners that have named theirs some variation of ours. And people are always asking, oh, are you associated with this one or that one? Like, no.
no,
we
but they're
actually-
great.
Yeah, we know them
Yeah.
because we've had that connection with them. But, we came up with our name not knowing anybody else's. So,
No, does a wren have a blue egg?
No. In fact, the wren bird is really not that cute.
Oh.
yeah.
But that's
well, your wren is though.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And then my son is Phoenix, which is another bird, but it's a mythological bird.
Right.
And neither would have a blue egg. So,
Yeah.
blue eggs are in our logo. That's why she asked that. But, yeah, we had someone design our logo, and we're pretty proud of
Which
it.
are really
so.
cute.
Yeah, it's very
Oh,
cute.
thank you very much.
I love it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
So before we end, what do you want people to know about All in the Nest Doulas, about any of the other things you're doing? I know you gave some great information about homeschooling and about essential oils, and we've talked about a lot. So
Any final takeaways?
I just want to say that we love talking to people, and we would just be glad to chat with you about anything you need to talk about, whether it's homeschooling or essential oils or birth, anything. You just want to share your birth story, give us a call or email. That's just such a part of who we are, is to invest in people, and our doors are open for that. And we have availability if you are pregnant and would like a birth doula. We have availability starting after August, so
which is next month. Which is
I know,
a couple
certainly.
days from
Yeah.
now, actually.
Wednesday
Yeah.
is the first.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
We
Time
put
is-
on our Facebook and our website when we start new classes, so we'd love to have you on our childbirth education classes. And we wish we didn't even have to. I mean, you have to make a living, so you have to charge for things. But, we wish we could just do it for free because we just love it so much. We love being with women in labor and childbirth, and so it's quite an honor when women ask us to be there with them, to be their doulas. So
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it would be very, very rewarding. But it does sound like also you have to be a certain kind of person to do it. As rewarding as it sounds to me, and I just think it would be awesome to see all the births and see the newborn babies. I could never do that. So my hat's off to you, because I have a weak stomach, and
Yeah.
you could not have a weak
No.
stomach doing this.
no, I couldn't.
Oh, the stories
Yeah.
we could tell you.
Yeah,
about that.
I can only imagine. So, everybody has a role, and yeah. So I'm in the support role. I will support you
We
and
need that
tell
too,
folks
so.
all about you and all that. Like I said, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, believe it or not, we are at the end of our time. We just want to say thank you again for joining us today. It's been such a good time,
We've
such
appreciated being here so much. We've enjoyed it.
great information.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do this again. I'm especially interested in homeschooling, which is so interesting because my kids are grown, but I just love that topic. All the topics we talked about, essential oils too, especially. So we'll have to do this again for sure. But as I said, you gave your Instagram, your social media information and everything. So please reach out to them, folks. And now we will want to remind you to join Tarrant County Breastfeeding Coalition at the 7th Annual Family Expo in Big Latch On coming up Saturday, August 4th at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. This free event includes vendors and a silent auction featuring goodies and gifts for all ages, as well as the Big Latch On, a worldwide event where participants gather to breastfeed together and support and celebrate each other. The Family Expo is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the Big Latch On happening at 10:30. For more information, visit tarrantbfcoalition.com. Remember, Crunchy Boutique, the natural parenting store in Arlington, Texas, and online. You can find Crunchy Boutique on Instagram at crunchy_boutique, on Facebook at Crunchy Boutique TX, or visit the website at crunchyboutique.net. Crunchy Boutique is your source for all things natural parenting. That's cloth diapers, baby carriers, breastfeeding supplies, breastfeeding support, and a whole lot more. Be sure to follow Crunchy Boutique on social media to keep up with the latest news. Thank you also to our listeners and Facebook Live viewers. Be sure to catch us each and every Monday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Fishbowl Radio Network on fbrn.us in the green stream, or find us on our Facebook page, Natural Parenting Talk with Lauren Akima. If you'd like to continue on today's conversation, please feel free to comment on the video on Facebook, and we will respond. Be sure to tune in next week when we welcome producer-director Lindell Singleton of Media 13 Studios. Lindell is developing an 8-part series about the Black infant mortality rate called The Gap. We will be discussing the Black infant mortality rate as well as Black breastfeeding. He's doing exciting things to help the community, so this will be a very interesting conversation. Do not miss it. And that's it for us, folks.
Yes, so we'll see you next week.
Catch us next week. Bye.
Bye.